Hey Lewis, obviously great race from a performance perspective. You gave everything out there again. Just what's the emotion, not getting the chance to maybe finish that race and the inspired decision to pit and not having that chance go your ways? What's the emotion right now?
Not too much really. Overall, I think about mostly my performance. Big congrats to Charles, but just on my side, we took too much wing out, had massive understeer through the first stint, had a jump start, just one thing after the other.
But even so, another weekend where you are fighting at the front, and even when it wasn't so clear, you're still in the top three. So the rest of the season's a long one. Is it good that you're at least in the mix again?
Yeah, definitely. Lots of lessons to learn from today. But yeah, we'll move on.
All right, thanks.
Ferrari just won at Silverstone, but this was not the clean victory they want you to believe it was. Charles Leclerc took first. Lewis Hamilton finished third. Ferrari walked away with a British Grand Prix result that looks massive, powerful, almost perfect. But behind that podium, there was a 5-second penalty, a furious Hamilton, a late safety car decision that ripped second place away, and an FIA investigation that turned Ferrari's biggest weekend into one of the most dangerous stories of the season. And here is the part that should worry every rival. Ferrari did not have a perfect race. They made mistakes. They were questioned. They were under pressure. Hamilton was visibly angry. Mercedes smelled weakness. And Ferrari still won. So the real question is not whether Ferrari was fast at Silverstone. The real question is much bigger. Did Leclerc and Hamilton just prove Ferrari is finally becoming a championship threat? Or did this race expose the one flaw that could destroy them when it matters most? Subscribe to the channel. Editor. Silverstone is not a circuit that lets a team hide. That is why Ferrari's result mattered so much. Some tracks can make a car look better than it really is. A clever strategy, a lucky safety car, or one perfect qualifying lap can disguise deeper problems. But Silverstone is different. It is fast, exposed, and brutally honest. If a car is nervous, Silverstone reveals it. If a team is slow to react, Silverstone punishes it. If a driver is carrying doubt, Silverstone drags that doubt into the open. And Ferrari arrived at this British Grand Prix with more than just a car to manage. They arrived with pressure. Pressure from rivals. Pressure from expectation. Pressure from Hamilton's home crowd. Pressure from every fan who wanted to know whether this red comeback was real or just another false dawn dressed up as momentum. Because Ferrari's season had already become complicated. There had been flashes of speed. There had been signs that the car was improving. There had been moments where Leclerc looked sharp enough to fight anyone, and moments where Hamilton reminded everyone why his name still changes the atmosphere of an entire race weekend. But there had also been doubts. Not the loud, simple kind that disappear after one podium. The deeper kind. The kind that sit inside strategy meetings, radio messages, tire calls, and driver trust. Hamilton had already experienced weekends where Ferrari's execution came under question. In Australia, he openly pointed to missed chances under virtual safety car conditions. Moments where the team could have gained time with a stop that would have cost less than usual. To a casual fan, that may sound like a small tactical detail. But in Formula One, those details are not small. They are the difference between chasing a podium and watching one disappear. And then there was the race where Ferrari lost Hamilton's global positioning system information completely. That sounds technical, but the meaning is simple. Imagine trying to guide someone through a packed city without knowing exactly where they are. That is what the pit wall was dealing with. When the team cannot clearly track its own driver, every decision becomes harder. When every decision becomes harder, the driver feels it. And when a driver like Hamilton feels uncertainty from the pit wall, trust becomes the first thing at risk. That is why Silverstone was not just another race. It was a test. A test of Ferrari's speed, yes, but also a test of control. Could Ferrari run at the front without losing its nerve? Could Leclerc turn a strong start into a calm victory? Could Hamilton finally have a home weekend in red that felt clean, complete, and convincing? Could the team silence the doubts that had followed it through the season? For a few moments, it looked like the answer might be yes. Leclerc launched perfectly. He attacked immediately. He moved past Antonelli at the start and took the lead from the first lap. That one move changed the entire shape of Ferrari's race, because at Silverstone, track position is not just useful. It is protection. When Leclerc got into clean air, he gave Ferrari something precious. Control. Clean air is like being the first car on an empty road. Nobody is throwing spray at your windshield. Nobody is forcing you to brake early. Nobody is disturbing the flow around your car. You can drive your own race, protect your tires, and force everyone else to take the risks behind you. Leclerc had that freedom. Hamilton did not. And this is where Ferrari's perfect-looking Sunday began to split into two very different stories. At the front, Leclerc was building the kind of race Ferrari dreams about. Precise, measured, calm enough to look almost simple. He was not destroying the field by a huge margin, but he did not need to. His job was to keep the gap alive, manage the tires, and stop Mercedes from turning pressure into a direct attack. Behind him, Hamilton's race became messy almost immediately. The investigation arrived early. Then the penalty came. 5 seconds for a false start by lap 6. 5 seconds does not sound like much in real life. In Formula 1, it can feel like a trapdoor under your seat. Because from that moment, Hamilton was not only racing the cars around him. He was racing a punishment that had not fully landed yet. It sat there waiting. Every gap behind him mattered. Every overtake ahead of him became more urgent. Every defensive move had to be measured against the time he still owed. And at his home Grand Prix in a Ferrari with the crowd watching every move, that penalty changed the mood completely. The weekend had already carried emotion. Hamilton had admitted Ferrari had scared him during practice, after the car created uncertainty before he later produced a stunning sprint pole. That detail matters because it shows how fragile the weekend had been before the race even began. One day doubt, the next day brilliance, then on race day punishment. That is not a smooth weekend. That is a roller coaster. And for Hamilton, it meant he had to keep rebuilding belief every time the race tried to take it away. But here is what made the situation more dangerous for Ferrari. Hamilton's penalty did not only hurt Hamilton, it changed how Ferrari had to use him. For years, Ferrari have carried a strange burden. When they lose, people call them chaotic. When they improve, people ask what changed. When they win, people look for the hidden reason. It is the curse of being the most famous team in Formula 1. Every victory is bigger. Every mistake is louder. Every rumor travels faster. At Silverstone, that burden returned at exactly the wrong moment. Because Ferrari were trying to protect a race lead, manage Hamilton's penalty, watch Mercedes' pressure, and control a story that was beginning to turn into controversy. That is a lot for one afternoon. And the more the race unfolded, the more it felt like Ferrari were being tested from every direction at once. Leclerc had to keep the front calm. Hamilton had to recover after the penalty. The pit wall had to manage strategy without giving Mercedes an opening. Vasseur had to defend the team's development from rival suspicion. And the entire operation had to prove that this was not just a lucky Silverstone result, that it was real. But the truth is, Ferrari's position was fragile even while they were leading. Leclerc's lead was strong but not careless. He had to manage the gap. He had to protect the tires. He had to make sure Antonelli never got close enough to turn pressure into a direct attack. At Silverstone, once a fast car gets within range, the whole race can change quickly. One small slide, one tire drop, one slower exit. Suddenly the car behind smells blood. Leclerc could not afford that. And Hamilton, behind, was dealing with a race that kept asking more of him. First the penalty, then the fight with Mercedes, then the need to rebuild his race step by step. He was not just trying to finish third. He was trying to keep alive the possibility that Ferrari could still walk away with something even bigger. Because at that point, the dream had not disappeared. A Ferrari first and second was still possible. That is what made the tension so sharp. The result Ferrari wanted was right there, close enough to touch, but not secure enough to trust. And when a race feels like that, every decision becomes heavier. If Hamilton pushes too hard, he risks the tires. If he waits too long, he loses the chance. If Ferrari stops him at the wrong moment, they hand track position away. If they leave him out too long, they risk being trapped by the field behind. This is where Formula 1 becomes less like a race and more like a countdown. Every lap removes one option. Every tire drop changes the calculation. Every radio message carries more weight than the last. And Ferrari had already lived through weekends where those decisions had hurt Hamilton. That memory matters. Australia was still part of the background. The missed opportunity under virtual safety car conditions had already raised questions. The global positioning system failure had already shown how quickly communication problems can damage a race. So when Silverstone became complicated, it did not feel like a brand new issue. It felt like a familiar fear returning. That is why Hamilton's penalty was more than a penalty. It became another test of whether Ferrari could rescue a messy race cleanly. And for a while, Hamilton started to make the answer look hopeful. He kept fighting. He kept the car in the game. He stayed close enough to matter. And then, when he finally passed Verstappen later in the race, the entire story shifted again. But before that moment arrived, Ferrari had to survive the middle phase. The phase where races are often won quietly or lost without people noticing. This is the part casual fans sometimes overlook. The first lap gives drama. The final laps give emotion. But the middle of the race is where the foundation cracks or holds. Tires begin to fade. Gaps open and close. Drivers start asking whether the car is behaving. Engineers watch numbers that tell them whether the pace is real or temporary. And in that middle phase, Ferrari had reasons to feel confident. Leclerc was not collapsing under pressure. Hamilton was not disappearing after the penalty. The car still had enough pace to keep Ferrari in the fight. Mercedes were dangerous, but Ferrari had not broken. That matters. Because teams that are not ready to win often fall apart in the middle of races. They burn the tires too early. They panic when a rival gets close. They overreact to a small threat and create a bigger problem. Ferrari did not do that. Not yet. And that is what makes the later twist more painful. Because the foundations were there. The result was forming. The comeback story was writing itself. Leclerc was building a victory that could quiet doubts. Hamilton was rebuilding a race that had nearly been compromised from the start. Vasseur was defending Ferrari's honor while the cars defended Ferrari's pace. Everything was connected. The accusation off track made the speed more controversial. The penalty on track made Hamilton's recovery more dramatic. The Mercedes pressure made Ferrari's strategy more delicate. And Leclerc's lead made the prize too valuable to risk. That is the kind of pressure that separates a strong team from a complete team. A strong team has speed. A complete team has speed, calm, timing, communication, and trust. At Silverstone, Ferrari showed the first part clearly. The second part was still being examined in real time. And then came the moment that looked like salvation. Hamilton began to climb back into the race. Verstappen was ahead, but not untouchable. The Ferrari had life. The crowd could feel it. The timing screens could feel it. And inside the Ferrari garage, the possibility was becoming obvious. If Hamilton could clear Verstappen, and if Leclerc could keep leading, Ferrari would not just be winning. They would be controlling the story again. The investigation would become a footnote. The cost cap noise would become background. The penalty would become part of a comeback. And Hamilton's frustration would turn into pride. That was the door opening. But Silverstone was not finished with Ferrari. Not even close.